The market was noisy and crowded. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved between cages and display platforms. The air smelled bad, like too many different bodies and not enough cleaning. In the far corner, away from the main crowd, stood a special cage. It was bigger than the others and had 3 guards with guns. Inside this cage was a female alien. She had blue skin that seemed to shine with its own light. Her eyes glowed a soft purple color. Heavy metal chains wrapped around her wrists and ankles. She sat very still, but her eyes moved constantly, watching everything. Her name was Nira. Once, she had been important. She had commanded a warship that other aliens feared. Now she was just another item for sale. "Next up for sale, rare Australian female," shouted the auctioneer. He was a fat, green-skinned alien with 6 arms. "She knows how to fight." Previous. "Owner says she causes trouble. Bidding starts at 500 credits. The crowd became quiet. Everyone knew about Australians. They could move things with their minds. They could sometimes hear thoughts. And they never ever accepted being slaves without fighting back. Most of the buyers stepped away. No one wanted a slave who might kill them while they slept. 500 credits, said a voice from the back. The crowd turned to look. A human woman pushed her way forward. She was nothing special to look at. Medium height, brown hair tied back in a simple style. Her hands looked rough from hard work. She wore the plain clothes of a ship mechanic. A patch on her jacket showed she ran a repair shop near Neptune. 700, said another voice. A tall, thin alien with gray skin raised one of its 4 hands. 800, the human woman said quickly. "You sure about this, human?" asked the gray alien. "Australians are dangerous. This one was a war commander." The human woman looked directly at Nira. Their eyes met. Nira expected to see greed or cruelty in the human's eyes. Instead, she saw something else. Determination. Purpose. 1,000 credits, the human said. The gray alien shook its head and backed away. 1,000 credits, the auctioneer repeated. Any more bids? No. Sold to the human female. The crowd whispered as the human approached the payment station. Most thought she was crazy. Some bet on how long she would live before the Australian killed her. After paying, the human walked to the cage. The guards looked nervous. "I need her restraints controller," the human said. One guard handed over a small metal device. "Your funeral, human," he muttered. Nira watched this all happen with cold eyes. She had been sold twice before. Each owner had been worse than the last. Each had thought they could break her spirit. Each had failed. "I'm Samantha Collins," the human said quietly when the guard stepped back. "You can call me Sam. What's your name?" Nira said nothing. She just stared at the human with hate in her glowing eyes. Sam didn't seem bothered by the silence. "That's okay. You don't have to talk now. We have a long trip ahead of us." The guards opened the cage. They kept their guns pointed at Nira as she stepped out. She was tall, almost 7 feet, towering over the human woman. With one move, she could probably snap the human's neck. The guards knew it. Sam knew it. Nira knew it. But the chains prevented her from moving too quickly. And something made her curious. Why would this small human buy a slave that everyone else was afraid of? They walked through the market toward the docking bays. People moved out of their way. No one wanted to be near an Australian, even a chained one. Sam's ship was small. It was clearly a transport vessel for a repair business. Tools and spare parts filled most of the cargo area. A small cage had been set up in one corner. "I'm sorry about that," Sam said, pointing to the cage. "The station won't let me transport you without securing you. But once we're in space, we can talk more freely." Nira stepped into the cage without a word. She had expected this. It was always the same. First, they pretended to be kind. Then when they thought you trusted them, the real treatment began. But as Sam secured the cage door, she did something unexpected. She leaned close and whispered, "I know what the Dreth Empire did to your people. I know why you were fighting them. And I need your help." Nira couldn't hide her surprise. The Dreth Empire was the most powerful force in this part of the galaxy. And humans were supposed to know nothing about the war between the Dreth and the Australians. That war had happened far from human space. How do you know about the Dreth? Naira asked, speaking for the first time. Her voice was low and musical, with a strange echo quality. Sam looked around quickly, making sure no one was listening. Not here, when we're safe in space. But I promise you this, I didn't buy you to be a slave. I bought you because you're the only one who can help me save my sister and 5,000 other humans. The small ship lifted off from the station. As it moved away into open space, Naira watched the human woman carefully. In all her years as a slave, no one had ever treated her like this. No one had spoken to her as an equal. No one had asked for her help. It was probably a trick. But for the first time in years, Naira felt something besides hate and anger. She felt curious, and deep inside, in a place she thought had died long ago, she felt a tiny spark of hope. 3 days passed on the small ship. Naira remained in the cargo hold, still wearing her restraints. They were lighter now. Sam had adjusted them so Naira could move more easily, but they still limited her powers. Naira had not spoken since their departure from the slave market. She watched as Sam came and went, bringing food and water. The human didn't force her to talk. She just left the supplies and went back to piloting the ship. On the 3rd day, Sam entered the cargo hold with something new in her hand. It was a small silver device. I think it's time we talked, Sam said. She sat on a crate across from Naira's cage. I meant what I said. I don't want a slave. Naira looked at her with glowing purple eyes. All owners say such things. I'm not your owner. Sam held up the silver device and pressed a button. There was a soft click, and Naira's restraints fell open. I'm your employer if you want the job, or I can drop you at the next neutral port. Naira stared at the open restraints. She could feel her powers coming back. With one thought, she could crush this human against the wall. Sam must have known this risk, yet she sat calmly watching. Why would you free me? Naira asked. I could kill you easily. You could, Sam agreed. But you haven't yet, which makes me think you're curious about why I bought you. Naira stepped out of the cage, rubbing her wrists where the restraints had been. Tell me. Sam pulled out a small projector. A hologram appeared between them. It showed a moon with a human base built on its icy surface. This is Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. 3 weeks ago, something attacked our research colony there. The military says it was an accident, a problem with the mining equipment. But my sister sent me this before all communication stopped. The hologram changed to show a massive ship hovering over Europa. It was black with red lights along its hull. Its shape was like a giant blade, ready to cut through space itself. Naira's breath caught. The Void Harbinger. You know this ship? Sam asked. Every Australian knows it. Naira's voice was hard with hate. It is the flagship of the Dreth Empire. Their war commander, Krazathul, controls it. My ship fought against it in the Orion battle. We lost. My crew died or was captured. I was sold as a slave. Sam nodded slowly. I thought you might recognize it. But why would the Dreth attack a human outpost? We have no fight with them. Most humans don't even know they exist. Naira studied the image more carefully. The Dreth don't attack without purpose. They wanted something on Europa. My sister Linda was the head scientist there. They were studying ice samples, looking for simple life forms. Sam turned off the hologram. The official report says all 5,000 colonists died in the accident. But I don't believe it. You think they were taken, Naira said. It wasn't a question. I think the Dreth found something on Europa that they wanted, and they took the colonists who knew about it. Sam looked directly at Naira. I need to find out what happened. I need to find my sister, if she's still alive. And you expect me to help? Naira's voice was cold. Why would I care about humans? Because the Dreth are your enemy too. And because I'm offering you freedom and a chance for revenge. Naira walked around the cargo hold, testing her limbs after days of confinement. Her mind raced. This human was either very brave or very foolish. Probably both. You cannot fight the Dreth Empire with this small transport ship, Naira said. Sam smiled for the first time. No, we can't. But I have something better. Something I've been working on for years. What? We're heading to Titan, Saturn's largest moon. I have a secret dock there. And a ship that might interest you. Naira raised an eyebrow. What kind of ship could a human have that would interest me? You'll see when we get there, 2 more days of travel. Sam stood up. In the meantime, you're free to move around the ship. The cockpit, the living quarters, everything is open to you. You trust me that much? I don't have much choice, do? Besides, if you wanted to kill me, you would have done it already. As Sam turned to leave, Naira asked, How did you know about the war between my people and the Dreth? Humans are not supposed to know about these things. Sam paused at the door. My father was a deep space explorer. 10 years ago, his ship found something floating in the Kuiper Belt, something that changed everything I thought I knew about the galaxy. She looked back at Naira. Get some rest. You'll need it. After Sam left, Naira explored the small ship. She could have taken control easily. The navigation system was simple. She could have changed course, gone anywhere she wanted. Instead, she found herself looking at the star maps, tracking their path to Titan. What could this human possibly have there that would help against the Dreth? And why did she care so much? About saving others? In Australian culture, strength was valued above all. The weak were left behind. Yet here was this human, risking everything for her sister and strangers. Naira went to the small viewing port and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Dreth continued their expansion, destroying or enslaving everything in their path. Somewhere, perhaps, a few of her people still fought against them. For the first time in years, Naira allowed herself to think beyond survival. She thought about fighting back, about revenge, about freedom, not just for herself, but for others. The human was probably leading them both to death. But after years in chains, even death while fighting seemed better than living as a slave. When Sam returned hours later, Naira was sitting in the co-pilot's chair in the cockpit. I will help you, Naira said simply. But know this. The Dreth show, no mercy. If we go against them, we will probably die. Sam nodded. I know, but I have to try to save my sister. Your loyalty to family is... Naira paused, searching for the right word. Admirable, foolish but admirable. Sam laughed softly. That's the nicest thing you've said so far. Don't expect many compliments, human. Sam, she corrected. My name is Sam. Naira looked at her for a long moment. Very well, and Sam, tell me more about what your father found in the Kuiper Belt. Sam's small transport ship approached Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Through the viewport, Naira could see the orange-brown surface covered with methane lakes. It looked empty and lifeless. There's nothing here, Naira said. That's the point, Sam replied with a small smile. The perfect place to hide something important. Sam guided the ship toward the dark side of the moon, away from the main human mining stations. As they flew over the surface, Sam entered a code into the navigation system. A signal blinked on the radar. Hold on, Sam said. The ship descended toward what looked like just another crater, but as they got closer, part of the surface slid open, revealing a hidden entrance. Sam guided the ship inside, and the door closed behind them. Lights came on, automatically, showing a large underground dock. And there, floating in a special holding area, was a ship unlike any Naira had seen in years. It was sleek and dark, with swept-back wings that made it look like a predator ready to pounce. Its hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The surface was a deep blue-black color that reminded Naira of the deepest parts of space. Naira pressed her face to the viewport, not believing her eyes. That cannot be, she whispered. You recognize it? Sam asked, unable to hide the pride in her voice. An Australian Phantom-class destroyer, Naira said, her voice filled with wonder. They were all destroyed in the last war against the Dreth. How did you get this? My father found it floating in the Kuiper Belt 10 years ago. No crew, minimal damage. He brought it here secretly and I've been working on it ever since. Sam landed their transport next to the larger ship. I call her the Redemption. Your father found this ship and just took it? Naira seemed shocked. He was going to report it, but then... Sam's voice grew softer. Then he examined it more closely and found something inside. Something that changed his mind. He kept it secret until he died 3 years ago. Then he passed the secret to me. They exited the transport. Naira approached the larger ship slowly, almost reverently. She placed her hand against the dark hull. To Sam's surprise, the surface rippled like water under Naira's touch. She recognizes my DNA, Naira explained. Phantom-class ships were bonded to Australian commanders. They respond only to us. That's why I couldn't get all systems working, Sam said. I repaired the engines, life support, and basic navigation. But the weapons and advanced systems wouldn't activate for me. Naira looked at Sam with new understanding. This is why you bought me. You need an Australian to control this ship. I need someone who knows how to fight the Dreth, Sam corrected. The ship is just a tool. Your knowledge is what I really needed. Naira walked around the ship, examining it from every angle. This vessel was designed for one purpose: to hunt and destroy. Once I fully activate it, it will send out a signal that any surviving Australians might detect. There could be consequences. What kind of consequences? If any of my people still live, they might come looking for this ship. They might not be friendly to humans. Sam nodded slowly. I understand the risk, but without this ship, we have no chance of finding out what happened on Europa or rescuing my sister. Naira studied Sam's face. You truly believe she's still alive? I have to believe it, Sam said simply. After a moment, Naira nodded. Very well, I will activate the ship, but you should know what you're getting into by working with me. I'm listening. I was not just any commander. I led the last major attack against the Dreth homeworld. We failed, but we caused significant damage. Krazathul, the Dreth war leader, has a personal hatred for me. If he discovers I'm alive and have a Phantom-class ship, he'll come after us, Sam finished. With everything he has, Naira confirmed. Sam took a deep breath. Then we'll have to be careful. Let's get started. Over the next 2 days, they prepared the ship. Naira activated systems that Sam didn't even know existed. The ship seemed to come alive under Naira's touch. Lights glowed along previously dark corridors. Displays lit up with Australian symbols that Sam couldn't read. The ship's name was Silent Strike, Naira told her as they worked on the bridge. But I like your name better. Redemption is fitting. Sam showed Naira the modifications she had made over the years. Some were clever improvements that impressed even the Australian. Others made Naira shake her head in disbelief. You connected the power core to the life support this way? It's a wonder you didn't blow yourself up, Naira said, rewiring a section under the main console. Hey, I kept it running for 3 years without a manual, Sam defended herself. On the evening of the second day, they stood together on the bridge. The ship was fully powered up and ready. There's one final step, Naira said. The command bond. The ship needs to recognize me as its new commander. What does that involve? I need to connect with the ship's AI. It's intimate. The ship will know my thoughts, my intentions, my past. Naira looked uncertain for the first time since Sam had met her. I'm not the same person I was when I commanded ships for my people. I don't know if it will accept me. Sam placed a hand on Naira's arm. You're still a commander. You've survived things that would have broken most people. The ship will see that. Naira looked down at Sam's hand, then at her face. Something passed between them. An understanding. They were both outcasts in their own way. Both fighting against impossible odds. Step back, Naira instructed. This could be dangerous. Sam moved to the edge of the bridge as Naira approached the central command station. A crystal pedestal rose from the floor. Naira placed both hands on it. The crystal glowed blue, then purple, matching the color of Naira's eyes. The ship's lights dimmed, then brightened. A humming sound filled the bridge, rising in pitch until it was almost painful. Then suddenly, silence. Naira, commander of the 7th Fleet, fallen in battle against the enemies of our people. A voice spoke in a language Sam didn't understand. I am Naira, the Australian replied in the same language. I stand ready to command once more. Your mind bears the scars of defeat and captivity, the voice said, but your spirit remains unbroken. The ship accepts your command. The crystal flashed, brightly, then returned to a soft glow. Naira removed her hands, looking slightly dazed. It worked, she said to Sam in English. The redemption is fully operational. What did it say to you? Sam asked. It recognized me from before. It accepted my changes. Naira seemed moved by this. It said my spirit remains unbroken. Sam smiled. The ship is smart. Naira walked to the main viewport, looking out at the hidden dock. We should leave soon. The activation signal can't be traced directly, but the Dreth have ways of detecting unusual energy patterns. We'll leave tomorrow, Sam decided. We need to rest first. Where do we go? Europa? Naira shook her head. Not directly. If the Dreth took prisoners, they wouldn't keep them on Europa. They would take them to a processing center first. A what? A place where they sort captives based on their potential usefulness. Scientists like your sister would be very valuable to them. So where is this processing center? The nearest one would be on Charon, Pluto's moon. It's far from regular human patrol routes, but close enough to your solar system for their purposes. Sam nodded. Then that's where we'll go first. As they prepared for rest, Sam showed Naira to one of the crew quarters. It's not much, but it should be comfortable enough. Naira looked around the small room. I've spent the last 3 years sleeping, in cages or on cold floors. This is very good. Just as Sam turned to leave, Naira spoke again. Why did you do it? Buy me, free me, trust me with this ship? You're risking everything. Sam paused in the doorway. Because everyone deserves a chance to be free, and because sometimes the people who have lost the most are the ones who fight the hardest to save others. After Sam left, Naira sat on the bed, running her hand over the soft blanket. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to feel something beyond survival and hate, something like purpose, maybe even hope. Tomorrow they would begin hunting the Dreth. And for the first time, Naira wasn't fighting alone. The redemption moved silently through space, its special hull absorbing light and sensor signals. Naira stood on the bridge, her hands moving over the control panels with practiced ease. It felt strange to be commanding a ship again after years, in chains. We're approaching Charon, she announced. Sam joined her at the main viewport. Pluto's largest moon looked gray and lifeless against the blackness of space. I don't see any signs of a Dreth facility, Sam said, studying the barren surface. You wouldn't, Naira replied. The Dreth build underground or inside mountains. They hide their operations well. Naira pressed her palm against a crystal panel. The ship's sensors extended, scanning deep below Charon's surface. There, Naira pointed to a reading on the display. Heavy power usage under that mountain range, and these energy signatures match Dreth technology. So what's our plan? Sam asked. We can't just fly in and start shooting. No, Naira agreed. The processing center will have many prisoners. We need to infiltrate it first, find information about your sister, then decide our next move. How do we get in? I doubt they have a welcome sign. Naira smiled slightly. It was the first time Sam had seen her do that. Actually, they do welcome certain visitors. The Dreth allow trading ships to dock at their facilities, smugglers and slavers. Bring them goods and new captives. And we're going to pretend to be smugglers? Sam looked doubtful. We have a better option. Naira pulled up a scan of a small ship approaching Charon from the opposite direction. This is a known slaver ship. The Redemption's database recognizes its signature. We're going to follow it in? No. Naira's eyes hardened. We're going to capture it and use their access codes. Before Sam could respond, Naira was already giving commands to the ship. The Redemption moved swiftly, positioning itself above the slaver ship's path. As the smaller vessel passed beneath them, Naira activated a tractor beam, freezing it in space. "They're sending a distress signal," Sam warned, checking the communications panel. "Not anymore," Naira said, pressing another control. The slaver ship went dark as the Redemption's systems shut down its power. Now what? Now we board it. Naira headed toward the equipment room with Sam following close behind. They suited up in space gear and crossed to the slaver ship through a temporary connection tube. Inside they found 3 aliens, a bulky reptilian captain and 2 smaller crew members. All 3 were unconscious from the Redemption's stun field. "Will they be okay?" Sam asked, looking at the still forms. "They'll live," Naira said coldly, "which is more than they deserve. Slavers are scum across the galaxy." They searched the ship quickly. In the cargo hold, they found a horrifying sight. A dozen beings from different species locked in small cages. Many looked injured or sick. "We need to free them," Sam said immediately, moving toward the cages. Naira caught her arm. "Wait. If we free them now, we risk our mission. We don't have room for them on the Redemption, and they need medical care we can't provide. We can't just leave them here." "We won't." Naira's voice was firm, but not unkind. "But we need to be smart. Let me think." After a moment, Naira went to the ship's computer and began typing rapidly. "I'm setting the ship's autopilot to take these captives to a neutral medical station in the Ganymede sector, and I'm transferring credits from the captain's account to pay for their care." "Where did you get credits?" Sam asked, surprised. The Redemption had emergency funds in its database. "Enough for this." Naira finished the programming and turned to Sam. "Now let's get what we came for." They downloaded the slaver ship's access codes and identification signals. Then they returned to the Redemption, detached the connection tube, and watched as the slaver ship slowly moved away, its precious cargo of freed captives headed for safety. "Thank you," Sam said quietly as they removed their spacesuits. Naira nodded once, then returned to business. "We'll approach the Dreth facility using these codes. The ship's computer is modifying our exterior appearance to match the slaver vessel's profile. We should be able to dock without raising suspicion." 2 hours later, the Redemption, now disguised as a slaver ship, approached the hidden Dreth facility. A large door opened in the side of a mountain, revealing a docking bay inside. "Slaver vessel Night Shadow. Transmit authorization," came a gruff voice over the comm system. Naira sent the stolen codes. There was a tense moment of silence. "Authorization accepted. Proceed to docking bay 4. They landed in a large hangar filled with various ships. Most looked like trading vessels, but some were clearly Dreth military craft. Guards patrolled the area, heavily armed and alert. "How do we get past them?" Sam whispered as they watched. "From the viewport. We'll need disguises." Naira went to a storage compartment and returned with 2 sets of clothing. "These belonged to the previous crew. They should hide our appearances enough to move around." The disguises were simple, hooded, cloaks worn by many species who visited Dreth facilities. Sam's fit well enough, but Naira's tall form was harder to conceal. "Keep your head down and stay close to me," Naira instructed. "Let me do any talking. I understand their language." They left the ship and entered the facility. The corridors were dimly lit with red lighting that cast eerie shadows. Dreth guards stood at key intersections, but they paid little attention to 2 cloaked figures who looked like typical smugglers. Naira led them to a computer terminal in a quiet corner. Her fingers moved quickly over the keys as she searched for information. "There was a new group of humans brought in 3 weeks ago," she said softly. "They were divided into categories based on skills. Scientists and engineers were sent to the main research facility on Eris." "Eris? That's at the edge of our solar system," Sam said. "Why there?" "The Dreth are working on something important, something they don't want other species to know about." Naira continued reading. "Your sister's name is here. Dr. Linda Collins. She was identified as a lead researcher and taken to Erisa for special interrogation. Is she alive? Sam's voice was tight with worry. Yes. All the scientists are listed as high-value assets. The Dreth don't harm those they consider useful. Naira's expression darkened. At least, not physically. A sudden alarm blared through the facility. Red lights flashed in the corridors. What's happening? Sam asked, looking around frantically. Nira checked another screen. Security alert. A prisoner has escaped from the holding cells. She grabbed Sam's arm. This is good for us. The guards will be distracted. Should we try to help whoever escaped? No. We need to focus on our mission. Naira pulled Sam toward a different corridor. But we can use this opportunity to get more information. The main control room should be less guarded now. They moved quickly through the facility, using the confusion of the alarm to avoid notice. Twice they had to hide as groups of guards ran past. Finally, they reached a door marked with Dreth symbols. This is it, Naira said. The control center for this facility. It will have detailed information about what the Dreth found on Europa and why they took the colonists. How do we get in? It must be locked. Naira smiled grimly. Watch. She placed her hand on the door panel. Her eyes glowed brighter as she concentrated. The panel sparked, then the door slid open. Australian mental abilities, she explained, useful for more than just fighting. The control room was empty except for one Dreth operator. Before he could sound an alarm, Naira moved with startling speed. She pressed a nerve point on his neck, and he collapsed unconscious. He'll be out for hours, she said, dragging him out of sight. Sam went to the main console. Can you read this? It's all in their language. Naira joined her, studying the displays. Yes, let me search for information about Europa. Her fingers flew over the controls. Files appeared and disappeared on the screen. Finally, she stopped on 1. Here it is. Naira's voice was tense. They found something under the ice on Europa, something ancient. What was it? A device called a Genesis seed. It's older than any known civilization. Naira looked troubled as she read more. According to this, it contains genetic templates for entire ecosystems. The progenitors, a species that vanished billions of years ago, used these seeds to create life on barren worlds. And the Dreth want it for what? To create life? Naira shook her head. To control it. With this device, they could reshape any planet to suit their needs, or destroy all life that doesn't match their preferences. That's why they took the scientists, Sam realized. They need help understanding how to use it. Yes. And your sister was leading the research team that discovered it. Naira downloaded the information to a small device. We need to get to Eris before the Dreth figure out how to activate the seed. Suddenly, the door to the control room slid open. A tall Dreth commander stood there, flanked by 4 guards with weapons drawn. Intruders, the commander hissed. Capture them. Naira moved in front of Sam, her eyes blazing with purple light. With a gesture, she sent 2 guards flying against the wall, but the other 2 fired their weapons. Energy bolts sizzled through the air. Naira deflected one bolt with her mind, but the other grazed her shoulder. She stumbled but remained standing. Run! She shouted to Sam. Back to the ship. They fled from the control room, guards in pursuit. Alarms blared throughout the facility. More Dreth soldiers appeared ahead, blocking their path. This way. Naira pulled Sam down a side corridor. There's another route to the docking bay. 3 days had passed since their narrow escape from the Dreth facility on Karen. The Redemption hid in the shadow of a large asteroid, its systems running on minimal power to avoid detection. Inside, Sam worked on repairing damage from their flight through the asteroid belt. 6 Dreth fighters had chased them, and 2 had gotten close enough to land hits before Naira destroyed them. Naira sat in the medical bay, examining her wounded shoulder. The energy bolt had left a burn that glowed faintly blue, matching her skin tone. It still hurt, but she had experienced worse pain during her years as a slave. Sam entered, carrying tools and looking tired. Ship repairs are almost done. How's your shoulder? Healing, Naira replied simply. Have you studied the information we took from Karen? Yes. Sam sat down across from her. The Dreth have my sister and the other scientists on Eris. They're trying to make them activate the Genesis seed. And if they succeed, the Dreth will be able to remake worlds to their liking. Nyra's face was grim. Planets that now support many species would become suitable only for Dreth life. We have to stop them, Sam said. But how? The two of us against an entire Dreth base? Nyra was quiet for a moment, thinking. The redemption is powerful, but you're right. We need help. She looked at Sam. There is another option, but you won't like it. What is it? When I activated this ship, it sent out a signal that any surviving Australians might detect. If any of my people still live, they might come looking for us. Would they help us fight the Dreth? They would fight the Dreth, yes. But they might not care about saving human captives. Nyra's eyes were serious. My people viewed other species as inferior. It's why we fought alone against the Dreth and lost. Sam considered this. We can't wait for help that might never come. We need to act now before the Dreth figure out how to use the seed. Then we need a plan. Nyra stood and walked to the bridge, Sam following close behind. On the main display, Nyra brought up images of Eris and the Dreth facility there, captured from the stolen data. The base is heavily defended, she explained. Direct approach would be suicide, but there might be another way in. What are you thinking? Sam asked. A distraction. Nyra highlighted a section of the base. Here, the power generation plant. If we could cause a problem there, they would have to divert resources to fix it. While they're distracted, we sneak in somewhere else? Exactly. Nyra pointed to another area. This looks like a maintenance tunnel, less guarded, especially during an emergency. They spent hours refining their plan. The Redemption had weapons powerful enough to damage the power plant from a distance. Once inside, they would use the ship's schematics of the base to find the detention area where the scientists were held. What about the Genesis seed? Sam asked. Should we try to destroy it? Nyra shook her head. Too dangerous. We don't know what would happen if we damaged it, and it's likely to be the most heavily guarded object in the facility. So we focus on rescuing the prisoners. Yes, your sister and the other scientists. If we get them out, the Dreth lose the knowledge needed to activate the seed. Just as they were finalizing their plan, the ship's sensors alerted them to something approaching. Multiple ships entering the asteroid field, Nyra reported, checking the readings. Not Dreth. Different design. Friendly? Sam asked hopefully. Unknown. Nyra activated the ship's defenses, but they're heading straight for us. They must have detected us somehow. The mystery was solved moments later when a voice came through the communication system. The language was one Sam had never heard before, musical and complex. Nyra's eyes widened. She responded in the same language, her voice suddenly filled with emotion. What is it? Sam asked when the exchange ended. Who are they? Australians, Nyra said, her voice barely above a whisper. A resistance group. They've been hiding in the outer reaches of your solar system since the war. They detected the Phantom-class signal when I activated the ship. That's good news, right? They can help us. Nyra looked troubled. It's complicated. They want us to join them, to bring the Redemption to their hidden base. And abandon the rescue mission? Sam asked, alarmed. That's their position, yes. They don't see saving humans as a priority. Sam's face fell. After coming so far, the thought of giving up on her sister was unbearable. What did you tell them? I asked for time to consider. Nyra looked directly at Sam. They don't know I'm working with a human. If they did, they might take the ship by force? Nyra nodded. The Redemption is too valuable to them. A Phantom-class destroyer could turn the tide in their ongoing guerrilla war against the Dreth. Sam sat heavily in a chair. So that's it? We give up? I didn't say that. Nyra's eyes had a determined look. I have another idea. It's risky, but it might work. She outlined her plan quickly. The Australian resistance ships would unknowingly serve as their distraction. Nyra would arrange to meet them near Eris, claiming she needed to retrieve something from her old quarters in the Redemption first. When the Australian ships appeared, the Dreth would focus on them, giving Sam and Naira a chance to slip into the base. "Will your people agree to meet near Eris?" Sam asked. "They don't know it's a major Dreth base. I'll tell them I need to make an engine adjustment before the final jump to their location. They'll believe me. And when they discover we've tricked them, they'll be angry." Naira's face was grim. "But by then we'll either have succeeded or be dead." The plan was set in motion. Naira communicated with the Australian ships, arranging to meet them near Eris in 12 hours. Then the Redemption slipped away from the asteroid and began the journey to the distant dwarf planet. As they traveled, Sam found Naira in the ship's observation room, staring out at the stars. "Are you sure about this?" Sam asked. "You're risking everything. Your freedom, the chance to rejoin your people, for humans you don't even know." Naira was quiet for a long moment. "3 weeks ago, I was in chains, with no hope and no future. Then a human I didn't know bought me, not as a slave, but as an equal. You gave me back my freedom, my purpose." She turned to look at Sam. "Perhaps it's time for Australians to learn that other species have value too." Sam was touched by her words. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," Naira said. "We still have to survive this mission." 12 hours later, the Redemption approached Eris. The small dwarf planet looked cold and lifeless, but sensors detected a large Dreth facility built into its surface. "No sign of Australian ships yet," Sam reported from the sensor station. "They'll be here soon," Naira replied. "We need to be in position when they arrive." They guided the ship to the dark side of Eris, hiding in a crater just over the horizon. From the Dreth base, the Redemption stealth systems were active, making them nearly invisible to sensors. "Incoming ships," Sam announced after a tense wait. "Australian signatures." "And the Dreth have detected them," Naira added, watching the base's communications traffic. "They're scrambling fighters. The distraction is working." They watched as Dreth ships launched from the base, heading toward the approaching Australian vessels. Alarms would be sounding throughout the facility. "Now's our chance," Naira said. "Let's go." They boarded a small shuttle from the Redemption's bay. The shuttle was designed for stealth, with the same light-absorbing hull as its parent ship. Naira piloted it toward the maintenance tunnel they had identified in their planning. "No guards," Sam reported as they approached the entrance. "They must have been called to battle stations." The shuttle attached to an external airlock. Naira and Sam, both armed with weapons from the Redemption's armory, moved quickly into the facility. The corridors were dimly lit with the same red lighting they had seen on Karen. They encountered few Dreth as they made their way deeper into the base, following the schematics from their stolen data. "The detention level should be ahead," Naira whispered as they paused at an intersection. "But security will be tighter there, even during an alert." "How do we get past them?" "I have an idea." Naira's eyes glowed brighter. "Stand back." She focused, her mental energy on a nearby control panel. Sparks flew as the panel short-circuited. Seconds later, emergency sirens blared, and sprinklers activated throughout the corridor. "Fire suppression system," Naira explained with a slight smile. "That should clear the path even more." They moved forward through the artificial rain. As Naira had predicted, the few guards at the detention level entrance had left their post to investigate the new alarm. The detention level was a long corridor with cells on both sides. Most contained beings from various species, captives from Dreth raids across the galaxy. Sam moved from door to door, checking each cell for humans. "Here," she finally called. "I found them." In a large cell at the end of the corridor, about 20 humans huddled together. They looked thin and tired but unharmed. Among them was a woman who looked very similar to Sam. "Linda!" Sam called through the door's small window. The woman looked up, her eyes widening in shock. "Sam, is that really you? How did you—" "No time to explain," Sam interrupted. "Stand back from the door." Naira joined her, examining the lock. "I can open this, but it will take a minute." While Naira worked on the lock, Sam spoke quickly to her. "Sister, are all the scientists here?" Most of us, Linda replied. They've been taking us one by one for questioning about the artifact we found. The Genesis seed?